I am about to reveal the absolutely mental things that you, the British taxpayer, are funding for illegal immigrants. Are you ready? So we all know that when they break into Britain, they get new clothes and shoes, they get free accommodation, some of it 4-star hotels, they can get priority access to social housing, they get mobile phones, they have access to on-site GPs, private healthcare and dentistry. If they have children, then they can get a free education. And if they have any trouble understanding exactly how much free stuff you're giving them, then we'll throw in an interpreter and they can be told this glorious news in their own language. Of course, if there is ever any issue with all of this, or we dare to detain any of them, then they also get free legal representation from a group of, in my view, traitorous lawyers who will then just take a cut of the whopping great big compensation payment their illegal migrant clients inevitably get. But it gets worse. And again, I ask, are you ready? We are paying for illegal immigrants to learn how to become nightclub DJs. Croydon, a council placed into special measures with £500 million of unpaid debt, is sending your money to help make illegal migrants DJs. And with that, I present to you DJ Madapasa.
Mada.
Good stuff. From the deck of a small boat to the decks of Glastonbury Festival. Now, DJ Madapasa probably shouldn't drink alcohol, which means that he can drive to all of his gigs, which is just as well, because in Oxfordshire, taxpayers are paying for illegal immigrants to have driving lessons and take their driving test. Obviously, being a DJ is a high-stress job, so you'll need to decompress. Just as well that some local councils are now paying for illegal immigrants to take yoga classes. Bristol Council, which faces 53 million quid in required savings, spent £270,000 of Home Office grants taking migrants to football matches as well. They are being given free PlayStations. Now, I Googled it earlier, and apparently a Sony PlayStation 5 Pro is £700. Parents save up all year and still can't afford that for their own kids, and we give stuff like that to illegals. Cardiff Council is teaching illegals circus skills. I reckon they've already got quite good at that because we know loads of them can juggle having one family abroad and one here in Britain, and loads of them know how to do a disappearing act, don't they? But guess what? If you decide that you want to complain about the fact that a young man who has just broken into your country is getting a free phone, clothes, house, education, healthcare, dentistry, driving lessons, legal advice, PlayStation, tickets to the football and a spot of yoga at the weekends, well, that young illegal immigrant will report you to the police for a hate crime because Labour councils are now training asylum seekers on how to report hate crimes. In Essex, the police, who obviously don't have any proper crimes to solve, went and ran a training day so newly arrived Afghans can learn how to recognise a hate crime and report it. Interesting, isn't it? Because there have been multiple allegations of some migrants harassing young schoolgirls. So perhaps the police could focus on that. I mean, you can see it now, can't you, in those yoga classes that I mentioned earlier. OK, class, we're doing 2 of your favourite poses today. We start with the illegal entry, and then gently move into the low lunge towards a girl in school uniform. I mean, if you wonder what illegal immigrants get for free in Britain, imagine everything you can think of, then add a few more things onto that list as well. Nuts, isn't it? Let's get thoughts from my panel. Director of Popular Conservatives, Mark Littlewood, landlord and activist, Adam Brooks, and then journalist, Nina Mishkov. Well, I mean, yoga lessons, nightclub DJing, driving lessons.
Yeah.
I mean, well, sorry, but why are we giving this to people?
It beggars belief, Patrick, and I always think whatever politicians say, either at a national or a local level, the real way you can judge their priorities is how they spend money, right? And look, for asylum seekers, you've got to provide the sort of bare subsistence, right? I mean, somebody turns up and we haven't processed them yet, you've got to put a roof over their head, a couple of, meals a day, that kind of thing. But this is just beggars belief, doesn't it? I mean, how on earth? And it's, you would have thought these councils were rolling around in surplus money that they didn't know what to do with. Quite the opposite. We've got local government about to go to the wall, and this is apparently their priorities. But as I say, at the I've always been of the views, you know, I've sat on this sofa, Patrick, and said it to you a million times before. If you can get the processing done more rapidly, you can cut costs, right? If we can turn around somebody's application in 18 days rather than 18 months. And in those 18 days, I guess you get basic medical provision, basic food, and a roof over your head. But no DJing, no driving lessons, no yoga classes, no football tickets, completely farcical.
No, or indeed PlayStation, which you're a father, right?
I'm a father.
I don't know if your kids are into gaming, but it costs a lot of money.
I've got it written down here. There are poor kids in this country that would dream of having a PlayStation, yet we're giving these freeloading chancers PlayStations in their rooms. And I'll tell you why we're doing that, Patrick. A family member of mine is a painter and decorator. He's done these hotels. He's had to do them up once they've left. Poo up the walls. They've burnt the carpets. It's disgusting. They wreck the hotels. What are they going to do when they're out of these hotels? These people should not be here. We should be deporting these straight away. They're clearly chancers. Get rid.
Well, Nina, I mean, look, realistically, why should someone who's just broken into Britain learn how to play a DJ set?
Well, obviously, at first sight, it looks completely ludicrous, doesn't it? It's bonkers. And let's get one thing straight. It hasn't started under the Labour government. It's not started under a Labour council necessarily. It's been going since 2022 in various places. Yep. So let's just analyse why they would be doing that. And Mark quite rightly pointed out it was the backlog. The backlog is horrendous. So instead of processing people rapidly so you can move them on or move them out,
we don't have to move them towards a football match, though, do we?
No, but here's the thing. So somebody has thought, well, look, you talk about, you very graphically talked about how they are perving on, say, young girls, OK? Yeah. Well, to try and prevent these young men, because they're mostly, as you would admit, young men, from just lurking about a hotel, give them something to do. They're bored. Yoga's a very good idea.
Get them back on a boat and sail off to another country.
You can't do that. You absolutely cannot do that. The fact of the matter is they are here and they are our problem. Nobody likes it, Adam. Nobody thinks it's a brilliant idea that our borders are so leaky. I don't think it. But let's be pragmatic. Right. We are faced with this situation. We have got groups of young men who are bored, OK, and cooped up. No, but
I get bored.
No, but you have they have nothing. They are not allowed. They are not allowed to work. So give them something to do. And if you equate it with the young guys and knife crime. Knife crime is mostly committed between 3 and 9 p.m. because those kids have nothing to do. Do them. So occupy them. Occupy them.
Here is the problem, right? People from all cultures, all backgrounds, young, old, male and female, respond to incentives. And if effectively our system is saying, if we're a bit worried that you're going to go down to the local girls' school, please fill in this form here and we'll give you a PlayStation and some football tickets. Guess what? People are going to rock up and sign that. I don't think that it's our responsibility to dissipate the boredom of the people who
It's our responsibility to keep our communities safe. Keep our communities safe.
Sure, but the idea that the best way of keeping Britain's streets and young girls safe is to splurge out on PlayStations, football tickets and DJ.
I agree there are some daft aspects to this.
Okay. I'll tell you what, I've got an alternative that maybe the taxpayer wouldn't be so angry about. Why don't the councils send in teachers to these hotels and start teaching them English?
Perfect.
90% of these people cannot speak English. They're never going to work a day's in their lives here. They're always going to be on benefits. Yeah. They're never going to be deported. Let's just remember, it's £5.4 billion per year the taxpayer has to stump up for hotels and all this. Yeah. 5.4 billion, 4 times what the pensioners need for their winter fuel allowance.
Now, Neil, one of the aspects is, I get that, look, all of this started under the Tory government, etc. Absolutely fair enough, 100%. But we revealed there that under certain Labour councils now, they are teaching some of these migrants how to recognise and then report a hate crime. Is that necessary, do you think?
I think when there's so much anti-migrant and anti-Islamic rhetoric, there may well be a good reason for it. Because instead of trying to integrate people, instead of trying to bring them into our way of life, we are instantly putting up barriers.
I don't want them in our way of life.
There you are, you see?
I don't want them. And
No,
I won't lie to the viewers, and I won't lie to anyone. They should not be here.
Who are them?
Them. Those that come here illegally should not be here. Their chances...
By international law, they are not illegal. Any individual has the right to go
now,
to
under
a
the Labour
country
government,
and
they're going to be
claim
British citizens
refuge.
in 5 years.
Well, in that case, fine.
It's not fine.
If they are, and what are you going to do about it? You're going to round them all up? What would you do? Round them up? Send them to Guantanamo Bay?
I'm going to keep expressing my view on my platforms and on channels like this, and hopefully the people that I voted to represent us start listening and stop ignoring us, stop spending our taxpayers' money.
These people are here now, and they are going to be coming, and hopefully less of them will be coming, because don't think that the Starmer government is not seeing this as a huge problem and doing all that they can to stop it. No, they don't. They don't see them as voters.
You've got to remove some of the magnet that's bringing them here, right? You've got to do that. You've got to make it, not wholly unpleasant, but a bit tough to be here, rather than here's your hotel room, here's your PlayStation, and do you fancy a bit of Arsenal versus Man United at the weekend?
You're headlining at Fabric on Saturday night.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need to be barbaric about it, but it shouldn't be an attractive lifestyle while we're...
I don't think it is an attractive lifestyle.
And then secondly, we need to process your application quickly.
Absolutely.
I think with quite a high burden upon you to prove that you really are seeking asylum, quite a burden on the individual themselves, rather than just putting their hand in the air and saying, I'm seeking asylum. And that needs to be done very quickly. I say my aim would be 18 days, not 18 months.
Well, the Conservatives left a deficit, was it 180,000 backlog?
I'm not defending their record.
What we need is the department to go back and work 5 days a week.
This government doesn't seem to be any better at it.
I pose a question here, which is that if people are genuinely concerned about resentment building up between communities, and in this case, what I mean by communities are legal residents and illegal migrants, right? Then maybe the best.
Well, they're not illegal.
Well, I think they technically still are. They
entered the country illegally.
That law, but yes,
it's not illegal.
But the best way to remove animosity and resentment, I would argue, is to try to make it so that it doesn't appear like if you arrive in Britain illegally, you get everything given for you. But if you work and your husband or wife works on a £30,000 a year job and you've got a couple of kids, that you have to scrimp and save for absolutely everything, and you can't even afford a £10 bottle of wine at the weekends. I mean, that's... I think,
let alone a PlayStation.
Patrick, there are many EU states that will put you in detention camps if you enter their country illegally. Yet if we talk about in this country, suddenly we're the Nazis, right? Unbelievable how people hold us to different standards to the EU that they so-called want to be in as well. There is a case that I read on the way here of a Pakistani asylum seeker was just granted £100,000 compensation because he was made to feel like a criminal because he overstayed his welcome here when he was meant to return home. £100,000. Imagine what the average
Where did you read that?
Could do that. It's in the papers. I think it's the Telegraph.
Of course it would be the Telegraph.
I mean, I actually wonder whether we need to be open-minded to provide some, maybe one or two, safe routes of entry. I'm not exactly how sure you do it, but
absolutely.
But you build
outside
some massive complex. I don't know, at Stansted Airport, for sake of argument, or Luton, or wherever you wish to build it.
Or Calais.
And you say or Calais, if the French would allow us. And you say if you wish to apply for asylum, you must come in through one of these routes. Buy yourself a Ryanair ticket. Don't give the gangs thousands of euros to go on a risky dinghy. But we expect you to turn up with your paperwork. We will process you there. It should take, half an hour a person. And if the answer's no, I'm afraid you'll be sent straight back from whence you came. I think that would be the way to smash the gangs.
But they also
and we'll have to process it incredibly
within Europe,
quickly.
there should be. In France, there should be a way
But then there is no
of
excuse for entering the country other than through one of those safe routes.
Once we get those set up.
The driving lessons for me is just the eyes.
That's ridiculous, yeah.
Really. I mean, there are kids in this country who cannot afford driving lessons. Their parents can't afford driving lessons, let alone getting them a car to practice it. I mean, I do find that as
I draw the line at circus skills.
There is now...
Yes, yeah.
The middle class is now being squeezed so hard from this Labour government. There's going to be middle classes losing their houses this year and next year. And yet we're looking at these hotels, they're getting fed 3 times a day and all these luxuries. We're having the mickey taken out of us by the ruling classes, and it needs to stop.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. And, the idea that instead of maybe teaching them how to integrate or whatever, that we might teach them how to juggle plates, I just find absolutely baffling. But